Hi, Dr. Gibson. I took a slightly different approach for this week's assignment. I hope that's okay. Talking about the web accessibility stuff, I wanted to look at a website I was currently developing and make sure and kind of work on it a little bit more to make sure that it was meeting those web accessibility guidelines. So this is my sort of portfolio for IT810. So I'm going to sort of walk through the changes I made, the things that I was missing that I've since fixed. In the comments for the submission, I've also included the link to access this for yourself if you need to take a look at there and make sure those things are there. So yeah, so the first thing I did was I checked for all of the images to have alt texts just to make sure. For the most part, I had done that already throughout those, but the one that was missing was actually this logo here. I figured it was a decorative image that didn't necessarily warrant an alt text. However, it was also serving as a link. So because of the fact that it was linking somewhere, I went ahead and included sort of in the alt text, the sort of description of where that link went. After that, I did realize that I had some contrast issues with the navigation toolbar. It was a little bit of a lighter color, and having these sort of gray tabs for the navigation was kicking back. It was under the 3 mark for the small text. I'm sorry, the 4.5 mark for the large text. So now I've gone back and used the color contrast analyzer, and it is giving me a pass on all of that, not on the AAA, just on the double A. So that got fixed up in those kinds of terms. One of the things I did go ahead and do was I added captions and transcripts. I've got an audio file here, so I have a link so that a transcript will pull up when clicked. And that transcript is just a pop-out tab. So instead of having the user have to sort of download and navigate away from the page, it will just bring up a new window that's just in plain text to get the transcript there. I also, on one of the other pages, have this sort of interactive video here. And I went ahead and added the closed captioning to that using the Adobe Captivate over there. So I believe that if I jump here, it looks like Adobe Captivate by default goes ahead and does the 32 characters, 3 lines. I didn't check every single one of those, but I believe that's the case. For that, I also did create just a normal transcript that can pop out if someone wanted to just read through instead of having to go through the whole video as well. I also try to make kind of along those same lines, those links to be as descriptive as possible. Initially, some of them had, click here to access a transcript, but I went ahead and dropped the click here sort of extraneous information. I did have a couple of headings there, I'm sorry, just one heading that initially was not accurate within the heading structure. I had done it for sort of a design purpose, used a lower level heading. This is sort of an H1. I think I was using an H4, H5 right away over here. So I went ahead and adjusted it to back sort of up to fit the heading tree to be H2 after the H1 heading. And ultimately, it looked fine. I think it doesn't negatively impact the design. But if I need to go through and do that, I will adjust specifically for that heading, the look of it, so that it still fits into the heading structure. The last thing that I sort of spent a little bit more time on was trying to make sure that my tab structure for navigation was good. And one of the first things I did was actually included this skip to main content tab that just sort of appears if you're using the tab navigation. It drops down to the main content of the page, sort of jumping over the navigation. I'd seen that on a couple of different websites that were touting good accessibility, so I wanted to try to include that. Along with that, these arrows in this little banner, initially before I did some editing, they would just change just the very little bit of color on the arrow itself to indicate that they were what were highlighted. But I went ahead and added sort of the blue border when they are in focus as well to give an individual who's using the keyboard for navigation a little better sense of what is currently in focus for them. And then those arrows are usable with the return key or the enter key to navigate as well. So yeah, we it looks to for the most part from my end to tab pretty well. The one issue I did run into with the tabbing came in this page with the interactive video that's been framed into the page. For whatever reason, the tab structure um, just dives right into it. I went and I tried to change it. I think it's something to do with the way that Adobe Captivate sort of produces their HTML stuff. It looked like that might be the culprit. I need to dive a little bit deeper, but for whatever reason, it just jumps straight to there and then continues on and doesn't loop back up until after you pass through all that. I tried to adjust the tab indexes on everything, but it just kept sort of overwriting whatever I was doing and jumping back in. So I'll have to maybe do a little bit of a deeper dive there. I do probably have some line length issues here in this segment, but I need some other bit of content to probably drop in over on this side of the page to have something as opposed to just that blank white space over on the right side. So ultimately, I did also go ahead and run everything through the wave tool. It was kicking back a contrast error, but that is actually from if I go down to the code itself, it's kicking that back from that skip to main content button. But in looking at it, if I can get back there, tab on through. It's white on black background. I think it's maybe picking up something different in that tool, but that is one I went back ahead and checked and made sure that it was good to go. I am getting some redundant link alerts. Those are happening because I've got a link to the sort of home page from the banner from this little logo as well as from that home tab. Um, in terms of, I guess, is maybe a usability versus accessibility question that maybe I have is it in a case like that, is it better to go ahead and have those repetitive links? It seems like that's kind of an industry standard kind of thing. And, if you click anywhere that says the main title of the page, it should just go back there. Is it better to include that from a usability perspective, or is it better to not include that from an accessibility perspective? So that's something that I'm kind of on the fence with. If you've got some guidance to that, I'd really appreciate it. But again, hopefully this kind of meets the requirements for the week. I know it wasn't necessarily a video of specifically, but I thought maybe putting everything into practice could satisfy the assignment for the week. If not, I'd be happy to sort of re-go through and do something different for the assignment. But I hope that this all looks good, and I look forward to hearing your feedback on it.